Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we are diving deep into a galaxy far, far away, with over 30 minutes of jaw-dropping Star Wars facts that even the most die-hard fans might not know. So grab your lightsabers, pour yourself some blue milk, and let's jump to hyperspace. If you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss another video. Disclaimer: there will be spoilers. Fact 1. Yoda was almost played by a monkey. That's right. Believe it or not, before Frank Oz brought Yoda to life with his incredible puppeteering and voice work, the production team actually considered using a trained monkey. The plan was to dress the monkey in a costume and have it wear a Yoda mask. However, this idea quickly proved to be a nightmare in practice. The monkey kept pulling off the mask and could not perform the necessary gestures. Fortunately, they went the puppet route, which gave us the wise and mystical Jedi Master we know and love today. Just imagine Yoda doing backflips unintentionally, or chewing on a lightsaber. Yup, definitely a different movie. Fact 2. Chewbacca's voice is a mix of real animals. Chewie's iconic roars and growls weren't just made up in a studio. They were carefully crafted using real animal sounds. Sound designer Ben Burtt spent countless hours recording bears, walruses, lions, and even badgers. By combining and tweaking these sounds, he created a voice for Chewbacca that could convey a surprising amount of emotion, from frustration to affection. It's one of the many reasons Chewbacca feels so real, even without speaking a word of English. You can hear the nuance. A sad Chewie doesn't sound anything like an angry Chewie. Ooh. That vocal complexity made him more than just Han Solo's sidekick. He became a character with a soul. Ooh. Fact 3. The original title wasn't A New Hope. When Star Wars first hit theaters in 1977, it was simply titled Star Wars. It wasn't until 1981, when the film was re-released, that George Lucas added the Episode 4 A New Hope subtitle. Why the change? Lucas had a grand vision for a larger saga, and he wanted to retroactively insert this film into a broader narrative. This move helped lay the groundwork for what would become one of the most expansive franchises in cinematic history. And, honestly, it was a bold move. Imagine watching this space opera for the first time and learning it was actually Episode 4. It left fans asking, wait, what happened in I, 2, and 3? Fact 4. Harrison Ford wasn't originally cast as Han Solo. Harrison Ford wasn't even on the original list of actors considered for Han Solo. Lucas auditioned big names like Al Pacino, Kurt Russell, and even Sylvester Stallone. Ford was working as a carpenter at the time, and happened to be helping out at the casting sessions. His natural charm and dry wit caught Lucas's attention, and the rest is history. Can you imagine anyone else saying, "I know," with that same smirk? Ford's roguish charisma and comedic timing gave Han Solo the perfect blend of scoundrel and hero. It's no wonder the character became a fan favorite. Fact 5. The iconic lightsaber sound came from old tech. The lightsaber's hum is one of the most recognizable sound effects in film history. Ben Burtt created it by combining two very specific sounds: the hum of an old movie projector and the feedback noise from a TV set picked up by a microphone with a broken shield. When a microphone was waved past a TV, it created that buzz sound. Mix it with the projector motor, and boom, instant Jedi weapon. What's even cooler is how they used this sound in action sequences. The actors would swing their sabers, and Burtt would actually follow the movement with a microphone to get that pitch-shifting sound. It gave lightsaber battles that extra layer of realism. Fact 6. Ewok language is based on Tibetan. You might think the Ewoks' chattering sounds are completely made up, but they're actually grounded in real languages. Sound designer Ben Burtt based the Ewok language on a mixture of Tibetan and Nepalese. He was inspired after hearing a documentary narrated in those languages and thought it had just the right rhythm and tone for the curious, primitive creatures living on Endor. This decision gave the Ewoks an earthy, authentic sound that helped them feel like a real culture and not just cartoonish forest dwellers. Fact 7. The Millennium Falcon was inspired by a burger. George Lucas once looked at a hamburger with an olive on the side and had a light bulb moment. That visual inspired the saucer-like shape of the Millennium Falcon, with its offset cockpit. Strange as it sounds, the Falcon's iconic silhouette was born from lunchtime hunger. Originally, the ship had a more traditional elongated design, but it looked too similar to another ship from the show Space 1999. Lucas needed a new look, fast. The result? A ship that looks like it can barely hold together, but is the fastest hunk of junk in the galaxy. Fact 8. R2-D2 had English lines in the script. Believe it or not, R2-D2 actually had full lines of dialogue in the original shooting scripts. These were meant to help actors respond naturally to his beeps and boops. For example, in scenes with C-3PO, R2 would say things like, "You're a pompous droid," or, "Don't worry, I've got it handled." Later, all of R2's lines were replaced with his now iconic beeping sound effects, created with synthesizers and audio manipulation. The mystery around his actual words only made fans love him more. Fact 9. Darth Vader wasn't always Luke's father. One of the biggest twists in cinema history, "I am your father," wasn't even part of the original plan. In the early drafts of A New Hope, Darth Vader and Anakin Skywalker were entirely separate characters. The decision to merge them didn't happen until the development of The Empire Strikes Back. George Lucas saw the potential for a deeper, more dramatic story, and thank the Force he did, because that single revelation redefined the saga and gave it emotional weight. Fact 10. Lightsaber colors have meaning. Ever wonder why Jedi and Sith lightsabers are different colors? It's not just a stylistic choice. In Star Wars lore, lightsaber colors are connected to the Jedi's role. Blue typically represents Jedi Guardians, who focus on combat and protection. Green is for consulars, who value wisdom and negotiation. And red, of course, is associated with the Sith, created by pouring negative emotions into synthetic crystals. Samuel L. Jackson even requested a purple lightsaber for Mace Windu, so he could stand out in the battle scenes. Lucas said yes, and now it's canon. Fact 11. Carrie Fisher had to tape her chest. Here's a wild behind-the-scenes detail. When Carrie Fisher was cast as Princess Leia, George Lucas had a very specific vision for what people in space would, or wouldn't wear. According to Lucas, there was no underwear in space. Yep, you heard that right. Because of this, Fisher wasn't allowed to wear a bra under her costume. To keep everything in place and meet the wardrobe requirements, she had to tape down her chest. It was uncomfortable, to say the least, and she often joked about it in interviews later on. It's one of those bizarre production choices that really makes you go, "Wait, what?" Fact 12. Ewan McGregor made lightsaber noises on set. Ewan McGregor, who played Obi-Wan Kenobi in the prequels, was so into his role that he couldn't help but make lightsaber noises while filming fight scenes. Every time he swung his saber, he'd instinctively add his own vroom and whoosh sounds. The crew got a good laugh. But it became a problem for the sound editors, who had to scrub out all his vocal effects during post-production. McGregor later joked about it in interviews, saying it was just impossible not to make the sounds. Honestly, who among us wouldn't do the same? Fact 13. Mark Hamill's injury changed the script. Mark Hamill was in a serious car accident in 1977, right before filming for The Empire Strikes Back began. The crash left him with facial scarring, and the filmmakers needed to explain the difference in his appearance. So, they wrote in the Wampa attack on Hoth as a clever way to incorporate his new look. That moment where Luke gets swiped across the face, that wasn't just a cool way to kick off the movie. It actually had a real-world origin. It's a perfect example of turning a challenge into an opportunity for storytelling. Fact 14. Alec Guinness hated Star Wars. Sir Alec Guinness, who played Obi-Wan Kenobi in the original trilogy, had a pretty complicated relationship with the franchise. While fans revered him for his wisdom and calm demeanor, Guinness himself wasn't thrilled. He reportedly found the dialogue clunky and the story lacking depth. In letters to friends, he called it fairy tale rubbish. Yet, he accepted the role and the hefty paycheck that came with it. Despite his personal feelings, he gave a performance that became legendary. And ironically, it's probably what he's best known for today. Fact 15. BB-8 was mostly practical effects. One of the most delightful characters from the sequel trilogy is BB-8, the lovable little droid with the rolling body and expressive head. While it looks like a CGI creation, BB-8 was actually built as a practical effect. The team designed several versions. Some were puppeted by rods, others were remote-controlled,
and a fully functional version even rolled independently for red carpet events. The fact that so much of BB-8 was real helped actors interact naturally with it on set, making their performances feel more grounded. That realism made BB-8 an instant fan favorite.
Fact 16. Boba Fett first appeared in a cartoon. Before The Empire Strikes Back introduced him on the big screen, Boba Fett actually made his debut in the 1978 Star Wars Holiday Special, specifically in an animated segment that is now infamous among fans, while the Holiday Special itself is often mocked. For its bizarre tone and strange production choices, the cartoon is notable for being the only part fans actually liked. It featured Boba Fett as a mysterious bounty hunter with a cool demeanor and an awesome weapon, his Ambon Phase Pulse Blaster. It gave audiences a sneak peek at the character before he appeared in live action, setting up the mythos that would make Fett a cult favorite for decades. Fact 17. Jedi can't marry, but we all know the Jedi code forbids attachment, which includes marriage. But did you know there were exceptions? Take Ai Adi-Mundi, the tall, cone-headed Jedi Master on the Jedi Council. His species, the Syrians, had a dangerously low birth rate. Because of this, the Jedi Order made an exception and allowed him to marry and have children to help preserve his people. It's one of those instances that shows the Jedi weren't as rigid as they sometimes appeared. Still, the idea of Jedi suppressing emotions while being galactic peacekeepers remains one of the more controversial aspects of their lore. Fact 18. Holocrons store Jedi knowledge. Imagine USB drives for Force users. Those essentially what holocrons are. These ancient devices are used by both Jedi and Sith to record teachings, secrets, and knowledge. But here's the catch. They can only be accessed through the Force. That means not just anyone can pop one open. Holocrons often contain holographic messages from long-dead masters and are used as training tools for future generations. In the extended universe and now in the Clone Wars and Rebels, holocrons have become an essential part of the war, often driving key storylines. Fact 19. The Sith Rule of Two. You've probably heard of the Rule of Two. Always two there are. No more, no less. A master and an apprentice. This principle was established by Darth Bane, a Sith Lord who saw the destructive nature of the Sith's internal rivalries. Prior to this rule, Sith often fought each other for power, weakening their ranks. Bane changed that by enforcing the idea that only two Sith should exist at one time, ensuring the power of the dark side would be concentrated, not diluted. It added a layer of secrecy and strategy to the Sith's survival, turning them from brutes into scheming masterminds. Fact 20. There was a pink Darth Vader toy. Yes, this actually happened. In a unique marketing move, Hasbro once released a pink-colored Darth Vader action figure. But it wasn't just a gimmick. It was created to raise awareness for breast cancer research. The toy was never part of any canon story, of course, but it became a collectible due to its rarity and unique color scheme. Imagine the Dark Lord of the Sith in hot pink armor. Now that's a look you don't see every day. It goes to show how Star Wars can cross into real-world causes and pop culture in unexpected ways. Fact 21. The Mandalorian used virtual sets. One of the groundbreaking innovations introduced in The Mandalorian is the use of the volume, a massive LED video wall that creates photorealistic environments in real time. Instead of using green screens, the actors perform in front of dynamic backdrops that move and adjust with the camera's perspective. This creates a much more immersive experience for both the actors and the audience. It also reduces the need for costly location shoots and gives directors more control over lighting and atmosphere. The result? A show that looks cinematic on a television budget.
Fact 22. Baby Yoda's real name is Grogu.
For a whole season, fans referred to him as Baby Yoda. But in Season 2 of The Mandalorian, we finally learned his real name, Grogu. The reveal came during a touching scene with Ahsoka Tano, who used the Force to communicate with him. Grogu had been trained in the ways of the Jedi at the Jedi Temple on Coruscant before being hidden during the fall of the Republic. Even after learning his name, many fans still affectionately call him Baby Yoda. His expressive ears, curious eyes, and tiny size made him a cultural icon almost overnight. Fact 23. Rogue One was heavily reshot. Rogue One, a Star Wars story, was one of the most intense and gritty entries in the franchise. But what many fans don't know is how much of it was reworked. After initial test screenings, the studio brought in Tony Gilroy to handle major reshoots. Some of the most iconic scenes, like Darth Vader's terrifying hallway rampage, were late additions. Originally, the film had a more muted ending, but the reshoots helped make it one of the most memorable finales in Star Wars history. It's a rare case where reshoots truly elevated the final product. Fact 24. Luke Skywalker's return was a secret. The finale of The Mandalorian Season 2 delivered one of the biggest surprises in Star Wars TV history: the return of Luke Skywalker. Mark Hamill reprised his role using de-aging technology, and the production went to great lengths to keep it a secret. Scripts were withheld, fake names were used on call sheets, and even the crew didn't know who the mystery Jedi was during filming. The reveal blew fans away and brought many to tears, showing that Luke's legacy still resonates deeply. Fact 25. Rey's lightsaber sound is unique. In The Rise of Skywalker, Rey ignites her very own lightsaber for the first time. But did you notice the sound? It's different from the classic hums of blue or red sabers. The sound designers wanted Rey's yellow saber to stand out, so they gave it a unique ignition and hum. It reflects her journey as someone who bridges the light and dark sides, forging her own path. A small detail, but it shows how much thought goes into even the subtlest elements of the Star Wars universe. Fact 26. George Lucas made a cameo in Episode 3. Did you spot George Lucas in Revenge of the Sith? He makes a quick cameo as a blue-skinned character named Baron Papanoida in the Opera House scene where Anakin meets Palpatine. He's only on screen for a moment, but it's a fun Easter egg for fans who know what he looks like. Lucas is standing with his daughter, who also has a cameo, making it a fun family moment hidden in the background of one of the saga's more dramatic scenes. It was a subtle way for Lucas to step into his own universe just before handing it off to the next generation. Oh. Fact 27. The sound of the TIE fighter is an elephant. Well, part of it. The iconic scream of a TIE fighter flying past was made by blending an elephant's trumpet with the sound of a car driving on wet pavement. Sound designer Ben Burt recorded the elephant at a zoo and combined that organic roar with mechanical sound, friction noises to make it feel both alien and threatening. The result was a sound that felt uniquely Star Wars, terrifying, fast, and instantly recognizable even in audio-only clips. Fact 28. E.T. is canonically in Star Wars. In The Phantom Menace, during the Galactic Senate scene, you can see a delegation of aliens that look exactly like E.T. from Steven Spielberg's classic film. Officially named Asogians, these creatures were added as a nod from George Lucas to his longtime friend Spielberg. While it's clearly just a fun Easter egg, it sparked tons of fan theories that maybe E.T.'s powers were actually Force-related, and that he was a Jedi visiting Earth in disguise. Now that's a crossover we didn't know we needed. Fact 29. The Emperor's voice was almost different. In The Empire Strikes Back, Emperor Palpatine was originally voiced by Clive Verville and portrayed with heavily altered visuals, including superimposed chimpanzee eyes to make him look more alien. When Return of the Jedi rolled around, Ian McDiarmid took over the role, both visually and vocally. In later versions and re-releases of Empire, McDiarmid's voice was dubbed in for consistency. His chilling delivery and creepy presence became so iconic that it's now hard to imagine the Emperor sounding like anyone else. Fact 30. The Star Wars crawl was incredibly difficult to film. The opening crawl that starts each Star Wars film wasn't computer-generated in the original trilogy. Instead, it was created using large sheets of yellow text placed on the floor and filmed with a camera slowly panning across them. The challenge was keeping the character, the movement smooth, and the focus perfect over the entire length of the text. Any wobble or misalignment meant reshooting the whole thing. It's one of those practical effects that looks simple, but took a ton of technical finesse to pull off. Fact 31. Lightsaber props were made from camera flash tubes. The very first lightsabers we see in A New Hope were constructed from Graflex flash handles, vintage camera accessories used to mount flash bulbs. These parts were chosen for their sturdy metal build and sci-fi look. The crew added other components like rubber grips, D-rings, and buttons to make them look more like a weapon than a flashlight.
These original props have since become some of the most sought-after collectibles among Star Wars prop builders and fans.
Fact 32. Adam Driver punched a wall for real. During the scene in The Force Awakens where Kylo Ren loses control and smashes a control room, Adam Driver went all in. He actually punched through real set pieces, breaking them in the process. His unrestrained performance wasn't originally planned that way, but it was so raw and intense that director J.J. Abrams kept it. It was a powerful way to show Kylo's volatility and inner conflict, helping to set him apart from more composed villains like Darth Vader. Fact 33. Natalie Portman and Keira Knightley looked so similar, even their moms got confused. In The Phantom Menace, Natalie Portman played Queen Amidala, and Keira Knightley played her decoy, Sabe. The resemblance was so striking that with full costume and makeup on, even their own mothers had trouble telling them apart. Portman and Knightley were only a few years apart in age, and their similar facial structure made the illusion incredibly convincing. This casting choice helped sell the plot device of body doubles and palace deception. Fact 34. The name Darth Vader has hidden meaning. The name Darth Vader is rich in implied meaning.
Darth is understood to be a title, meaning Dark Lord of the Sith,
A tradition that continued throughout the prequels. Vader closely resembles the Dutch word for father, which is Vader. George Lucas has claimed the connection was coincidental, but the name ended up being a huge piece of dramatic irony, especially before the big reveal in The Empire Strikes Back. Next. It just goes to show how even a simple name can carry layers of meaning in a saga like Star Wars. Fact 35. Star Wars was saved in the edit. Believe it or not, the first cut of A New Hope was a mess. Pacing issues, confusing sequences, and uneven tone made it difficult to follow. That all changed when George Lucas's then wife, Marcia Lucas, along with editors Richard Chew and Paul Hirsch, took the raw footage and restructured it. They tightened the pacing, reordered scenes, and added urgency to the final trench run on the Death Star. Their work transformed a clunky draft into a thrilling adventure, proving that editing can be just as important as writing or directing in filmmaking. And that's a wrap on this deep dive into the galaxy far, far away. Whether you're a Jedi Master, a Padawan learner, or just a casual fan of Star Wars, I hope you learned something new today. We covered everything from behind-the-scenes production tricks and actor stories to extended universe lore and even a few fun Easter eggs you might have missed. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps us out with the YouTube algorithm. Got a favorite fact? Or maybe a Star Wars tidbit we didn't mention? Drop it in the comments below. We love hearing from fellow fans. And hey, if you want more Star Wars content, whether it's trivia, theory breakdowns, episode reviews, or character deep dives, make sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Thanks so much for watching and hanging out with us today. Until next time, stay nerdy, stay curious, and as always, may the Force be with you.